obviously you want any loss back. This was a game that you guys were up and they made that run and they out rebounded and all that. But their minus Battle, I think. I don't know if Khalif Battle is going to play, but just what do you think about the Owls this time around?
Thinking about the last game, so I think we out rebounded them.
No. You did a great job last game.
Yeah, going into Temple, you go back. That's the second game of league play, so it seems like ages ago. But we've evolved as a team since then. They've evolved. I think going back and looking at that game, that we really took a step in as a rebounding team after that and responded to that performance. But you go back and you look at the tape, and it's not so much that you're not a good rebounding team at that time. You're playing against a really good rebounding team. Their positional size, it is across the board with their lineups is incredible. You're looking at the times out there, the two guard is 6'6", everybody else gets bigger and bigger. So it's they're a great defensive team. They're in great position defensively, and they're a great ball pursuit team, which is why they do such a nice job on the glass and make it hard to score. Look at some of the numbers. They do such a good job at defending from two, and they make it hard to score from three as well with their length. So, yeah, we're both different teams, or we're both teams that have evolved since back in early January. I think it was January 1st. But there's certainly things you can take from the last game.
Was a season-low three-point attempts against UCF. Obviously scored well in the paint, kind of playing off of that. Was that the game plan going into the game? Was that a mid- or during-game adjustment? How did that all play out?
Yeah, I don't think we sat there and said we want to shoot less threes or more twos. I think all year it's just been about trying to make the right play, take good shots, take shots that don't surprise our teammates. I thought some of the stuff around the basket against UCF was hitting the roll. David did such a nice job of hitting the roll man and the ball screen, especially late in the game. There were some good back-to-the-basket possessions for Kalu Ezekbe, and I think Odie had one. So there is some stuff. There's some times that they were really extending their pressure, and we were able to go kind of a high screen and roll. We were able to kind of get the ball downhill. I wouldn't say it was against a half-court defense, but it wasn't quite in transition. So there's some reasons why we shot more twos, but it wasn't anything by design other than just trying to play the right way.
Yeah, update on how Vic responded to the warm-ups, first real extended floor time since he had that injury a couple weeks ago.
Not really, just because we haven't he didn't respond poorly. He didn't get any setbacks. I don't know, how much was said publicly or not. I can't remember, but he wanted to play. He just hadn't practiced at all going into the UCF game. So he's trying to convince me and the rest of our staff and our medical staff that he could play. And I think medically he was cleared to play, but I just thought that would have been unwise to play somebody that hasn't practiced at all, just put him at maybe a higher risk to re-injure it. He's not in shape. He hasn't gone through any of the game plan. So I thought it was the right decision, and I hope that means he'll be able to play well on Wednesday night, but we'll know more after practice and after shoot-around and warm-ups tomorrow. He still hasn't played any live basketball yet, so to sit here and say that I know for sure it's not just coach talk, I really don't know until we get through practice today and see how he responds tomorrow.
As you get down last few games, then you have that conference tournament where it's, hoping to play multiple games in a couple days. How encouraging was it to win a different way than maybe you have earlier this season with Vic out, but then also just kind of the game plan of shooting more twos, maybe slowing it down a little bit?
Yeah, I just think you want your team to be resilient. You want your team to have that quality that is just going to find a way to win. That's what you're proud of as a coach. That's one of the things that you're trying to build from a mentality standpoint as a program, as a team all the time. Just find a way. Then there's been other times this year we've just kind of found a way. I think you guys heard me after the SMU game. At SMU, I was so proud because we couldn't throw it in the ocean. We turned it over 17 times, but we found a way to win the game. So there's been other moments this year where, things haven't always gone the way you want, or you're down by whatever it may be, and you just kind of find a way. And I thought we did that at Central Florida. Like you can go, well, you have a lead, 2-possession lead, and you can't get stops, and you're turning the ball over versus the press, and you can't break a press. But we got a couple huge offensive rebounds. I mean, those are Odie and Jeremiah Davenport late in the game in the last 2 minutes are huge game-winning plays. And then David makes the play on the last possession, of course. But we just kind of found a way. We stayed together. We stayed resilient. That quality, which, again, this isn't the first time we've had that quality, but that quality is so important, and it was great to see that from our guys.
How about the confidence level of Odie and Kalu after what they've done? And you have to like your chances when your big guy makes 18 out of 19 in 3 games.
Yeah, Odie, I speak about each of them separately. Odie's, his improvement's just been really consistent throughout the entire year and throughout the entire offseason. He just keeps getting better and better and better and better and better. And that's what you want to see out of guys in your program. You want to see that consistent growth. So it's been some of the stuff that's happening with Odie is not new to us because we're seeing it every day, that consistent growth, but he's getting in different roles. With Vic's injury, we moved him into the starting lineup at one point earlier in the year. I mean, his role is increased for a lot of reasons, and he continues to grow, and so the results are finding him. So that's not really surprising to anybody that's around him every day, and it is great for Kalu. He's been kind of in and out of being in the rotation or sometimes not even getting in games, and you lose Vic and you lose quite a bit, and he's been able to step in and kind of steady us at times, but to have a game like he had against Central Florida should give him a lot of confidence, and it was really important to our team.
Heading into Temple, obviously you just touched on Kalu a little bit there. Just heading into a game like Temple, how important is a guy like Kalu and Odie going to be versus a team that has a dominant inside game along with those big, lengthy guards, as you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, the ability to match their physicality, not just in rebounding, but rotating to the ball and loose balls and, altering shots and taking charges and having presence around the rim. And I could keep going on and on. That's a huge key in our league every night. It's obviously a huge key against one of the best teams in our league at those things, and Temple is. So, the more size, length, depth that we have, and that's what you get. Hopefully you get Vic back and he's healthy, and now it's not like you move somebody out of the lineup. Now you got some more depth and some more size and some more front court play.
You are at 18 wins, Coach. It's the number you finished with last year. As you try to start to take incremental steps of rebuilding this program, is getting to 20 wins, is getting more wins than last year? Are these small markers you're looking for as a coach to help kind of put that carrot out there for the guys to see success?
In some ways, maybe, but not really. I think maybe we evaluate that at the end of the regular season. Today it's about practice. And people hear that and they go, that's just coach talking. And that's not. It's real. I mean, today it's about practice. I don't care about how many damn wins we have or we don't. And then it's about trying to beat Temple on Wednesday night. And then whenever that's over, wake up the next day and it's about the next practice and the next game. And whenever that's over, wake up the next day. And it sounds boring and cliche, but I really think we got to try to stay in the moment. And if we can control that, we could look up at the end of the regular season and hopefully, like you said, you can say, hey, we took some incremental steps from, this point last year to now. But it's too early to me to look at it that way. We're in the thick of league play still.
Coach Lander's second most turnovers of his career against UCF, 7, and then had 5 the game before. Is there anything that you guys see on film that's kind of something he can fix in that respect, or is it just the ball kind of bouncing the wrong way in back-to-back games?
No, I don't think it's like one thing in particular, but just it's a long season, and he's got the ball in his hands a lot, and we're asking him to make a lot of plays. And his ball security and some of the plays he's made the last couple games, it's been a little uncharacteristic, but it's like a jump shot. Sometimes it goes in, and you're going to go through stretches where it doesn't. I don't think when players, have some plays over a course of a couple games, I don't think you overreact. You get back in the gym, you work, you let him know that we have confidence in him, and you realize that when you're asking somebody to be in a playmaking situation, just like when you're asking somebody to shoot a lot of shots, it's not going to be a perfect continuum. But over the course of time, like he's already shown, Landers is going to make great plays for our team. He's going to take care of the basketball. He's going to create action for us. And I think he's just had a little bit of a stretch here the last 2 games where it hasn't been his best stretch with the ball in his hands, but it's not going to make us change anything or go in any kind of different direction. I think we have great faith in him.
David's been in these positions before last year, this year, with kind of game on the line, ball in his hands. What do you say to him or the team in the huddle before he goes out and has to try and make a play like that?
Well, I didn't want to call timeout because I just kind of believe, like, you don't ever call timeout if you know what you want and you have the right pieces out there to do what you want. In that situation, because you call timeout, now you give the other team a chance to make a defensive adjustment or substitution. But we couldn't get the ball into his hands. We tried, which was fine. You want to be conservative with the ball in that situation too. But he tried to make a break. They denied him the ball, and we just kind of couldn't get it there. And I didn't think we looked organized. So that's why I called timeout. And then as he was coming off the floor, I just asked him, do you want it a ball screen or do you want it in space? Because with time to talk about it in a full timeout, you can diagram some things or set some things up. So, he mentioned that he preferred it in space, which he's going to go back and forth game to game on that. Like, it's not like he's always going to want that situation. But in this game, he wanted it in space. And then we just wanted to make sure that he got a catch in bounds. Odie set a really nice screen to free him up, and the guys did a nice job of kind of moving the defense, so it wasn't obvious. It was just a straight ISO.
9 times out of 10, you would not call timeout?
I wouldn't say a number on it. I think it's if I feel like we are organized and, again, the people that we want in the game are in the game, we can get to what we would get if we would have called timeout. There's no reason to let the defense set up or talk about what you're going to do. So that's kind of my philosophy, but it doesn't mean you're always going to be able to do those things. And so if I feel like if I'm going to call a timeout in that situation, I'm going to call it for a reason, whether that's I want to substitute or I want to get people in different places, and I know we can't get there without a timeout. That's why I would call timeout. But if I feel like we could do it without the timeout, I would do that 10 out of 10 because I don't want the defense to be able to make any adjustment or the other coach to be able to make an adjustment.